and I'm sorry, but Peacock's content isn't as good as like not even as good as Paramount Plus's content. They're bottom of the
You
barrel. I mean,
shut your
WWE was.
whore mouth, mister. I've watched every episode of The Office twice.
Hey, The Office was better on Netflix, anyways. It was
What?
easier to navigate.
Oh,
Yeah,
God. Don't stop. Don't
but
you dare. Starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, welcome to the inaugural edition of the brand new wrestling podcast, Wrestling is Now Shitty. I am your host, Dr. Legend, joined with my esteemed colleague and brother, Midnyte.
we are here to take the wrestling. We are going to break its back, make it humble, and you know the rest.
And I know exactly what you guys are thinking out there. Oh no, who are these two boomers about to shit on our beloved wrestling product? How dare they? Well, here's the penny for your thoughts about who we are, really quick. So, we have been watching wrestling since March of 1990, just before the beloved WrestleMania 6 pay per view, and we have been enamored with the product ever since. Now, we haven't been watching it consistently because, hey, there are some periods where we were doing other things and not super into the product. Sometimes it was a really good period, and other times it wasn't really great. But there's something that we have been talking about because we still kind of stay into the know of what's going on with wrestling, and we've been noticing like the internet wrestling community, or the IWC, if you will, have been glazing this period of wrestling as if it is the greatest thing ever. And uh, forgive me, but was quite baffled. Like I look at the product, I look at the matches, I look at some of the characters, and I go, "Are you guys serious? Like you guys like this? Am I being punked? I mean, Midnight. Am I wrong?"
I think in a lot of ways you are wrong. And we'll get to that when we recap some things. But you also have to understand is that the internet is a two-way street, and it's also a magnifying glass to everyone. Remember, back in the Attitude Era, there was no social media, so you didn't know what everybody thought. You just kind of knew what you liked, and maybe what a few people that were on the internet were talking about that had a website. So right now, I think that the wrestling product is certainly better than it was back in like the mid to late 2000s. Um, and I think we'll get into it more about how the product has changed for the good and for the bad. And I think that's what we're going to do in this podcast is we're going to give kind of I guess our old school Bret Hart opinion about wrestling. Like we want wrestling to be as real as possible, and we're going to point out what we think is coming off as being legit wrestling, and what's not coming off so well. And I think you've got a pretty good perspective as to what's coming off not so well. And I think I have a pretty good perspective as to what's coming off good.
Right, and the whole idea behind the name Wrestling is Now Shitty, it's not for us to completely dump on the product and say, oh, this is terrible, you shouldn't be watching, or because why the hell are we watching it if this is bad? No, it's more giving it a very, very detailed and close look at what's going on in the product. Is it really, really good? Is it as bad as I'm thinking it is? And just giving it a legitimate critique of what's going on, and not being blindly accepting, hey, everything that we're being fed. Like Vince used to say, like, I'll tell the people what they like because they don't know what they like. But the audience, then he'll go back and say, well, the audience is never wrong. They always tell us what to do. And I'm like, Vince, you can't be bipolar like that. So we're here to do look at wrestling, the current WWE product, and maybe even snippets of AEW because they're still putzing around somewhere. Talk about everything going on in the week, the big hits, the big misses, and what they've done, what they could improve, and hopefully revitalize and rekindle our love for wrestling. So maybe we can see it in the eyes of those currently in the IWC who are genuinely thinking this is the greatest era of wrestling that has ever lived.
Is that really what you're hearing in the IWC overall? Because I try not to read Twitter and don't go to many of the forums. Are they legit saying this is the best WWE's ever been?
That's the sentiment I'm getting, and I try not to look at like people who are just outright angry and not being critical of it. I don't like saying, "Well, this sucks. I'm not going to watch it. Oh, it's boring." That's not that's not a critique. You're just being angry and upset and saying something you don't like. Like, look, I don't like cold tomatoes on my hamburgers. I think it's disgusting. I love cold tomatoes. I'll gladly eat them in a salad or anywhere else. But in my burger, I don't like it because I'm a very traditionalist on my burger. But I won't stop someone from putting cold tomatoes on their burger. It's not. It's just my taste. It's my flavor. It's not something that I will. Oh, like I will say, oh, I don't like it. I don't think it tastes good. But I won't say you're a disgusting person for eating it. And that's this kind of sentiment I get from some of the comments I read everywhere else. That oh yeah, it's they get, and it's very easy to do stuff like that because it's the internet, because it's social media. There's a lot of anonymity involved. Like you can just be very vexing and say this sucks, kill yourself and walk away.
And I think another point is, and I don't know how much yours has changed, but my opinion on wrestling has changed a lot, especially since I was an ROH type mid 2000s, IWC wrestling move fanboy, right? And I'm no longer that person anymore. So, don't think that or don't think that my opinion can't change as to what's good and what's bad in wrestling, or at least what I personally enjoy. I actually have started to like cold tomatoes on my hamburger recently, and I used to not touch them with 10-foot pole until, but
See,
yeah,
right? Yeah. Exactly. And so I'm hoping that as we dive back in and really revitalize and rekindle our love for the product in some way or form, because I still will go back and watch old pay-per-views and things like that. Recently, my wife has actually started to get into wrestling again. She watched it a little bit, but now when the paid live events, the premium live events, I'm sorry, come on or whatever, she'll even say, "Oh, are they on? Let's sit and watch it." Or sometimes she'll tell me on Monday when I come home from work, "Hey, is Raw on? Are we gonna watch it?" I'm like, "You want to watch Raw?" I'm like, "Oh, okay, we can put it on. Like, we can watch it." Because usually wrestling was something I'd watch by myself on the auxiliary, like not in front of anybody, unless it was with my boys back in the day. But other than that, it's kind of like a little sheltered hobby. But now I see, have you seen all like the videos of the reactions people do when certain big events happen during paid live premium live events? It's really, I like that. It's kind of funny. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, there's a few wrestling fans I watch on Twitter, on Twitch, and I like watching their stream reaction compilations, especially when CM Punk came back. It's really, it's a good time to be a wrestling fan, if just because you get to see more of the fans' reactions all over the place, not just in the arena.
And I think that's a big element that I miss. Like, I loved all of the pay-per-views that we attended, and yeah, we attended pay-per-views. There weren't premium live events when we went. I think the last event I attended was in No Way Out 2008.
You went to Rumble 2013
Oh,
with
2013.
Weasel.
I did. Oh,
Yeah,
no,
you
a
went to
friend
that
of ours.
one.
That's right. That was the last one when Jericho made his return.
Yeah, and then Punk lost the title to The Rock or something, right?
Yeah. The Shield was there. Wow, what a time! What a time! And I went. That's right. I went there. It was his birthday. I bought him those tickets for his birthday, and the event was right in my backyard. So that's why we went. Tickets weren't bad. Decent seats, but I mean,
Weasel drove down there, right?
no, he flew. He flew. Yeah, I
Oh,
picked
he
him up.
flew.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, so yeah. Weasel's an old friend of ours, and hopefully we'll be able to get him on the show, guys. He's got some hilarious takes and opinions, and I'm sure you guys would love him just as much as we do. With that being said, yeah, that's an introduction. Now, if I always say, if you guys have any questions for us, we'll gladly answer them on the show. Please send us an email to winspodcastlive@gmail.com. Right here on the screen for you. So please, shoot us an email with whatever questions you guys have for us. Or hey, if you guys want to dunk on us on the show, we'll gladly read your hateful comments and hopefully find a few nuggets of gold in there, because that's exactly what we're trying to do on this show. But anyways, there's a big week of wrestling happening. One of the most interesting things that some of you people might not know was this week. This past weekend was the weekend prior was SummerSlam. The SummerSlam 2025, and SummerSlam was actually the very first pay-per-view our dad let us buy as kids. It was SummerSlam in
Yep,
1993. We had just gotten
that's right.
cable, and we begged him, like, asking our dad for, like, watch wrestling was one thing. Our parents weren't super into it that we were into wrestling, but asking him to pay money for a pay-per-view event, that was like, I'm shocked he said yes, but it was really, really cool. So, yeah, did you end up watching the whole show, Midnight?
I watched most of the show. There was a couple of matches I couldn't catch because I had to, step out and make sure the kids weren't watching because my wife doesn't want the kids to watch. But I probably watched like 90%. I watched the most important matches.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay, well, let's just tuck into it and talk about this. Is now, how do you feel about 2-day events for premium live events and pay-per-views?
you know, honestly, I was against the idea until WrestleMania 39, and I realized how awesome it is to have, 2 nights of jam-packed events, because WrestleMania is usually like this super long orgasm of wrestling, and sometimes you kind of need a little break to kind of rest. But then again, 2 nights of watching wrestling to dedicate is kind of hard, so I'm not 100% sold. But then again, like this SummerSlam, I have to say was a home run for WWE. Making it 2 nights was the right call, because if you were to if you look at the matches that they put on, I think they had a total of 13 matches. You couldn't do 13 matches in one night, so spread it out. And right now it's on Peacock, so it's not costing you more money unless you bought a ticket. That's the only thing that sucks. If you want to go see it live, you got to buy 2 tickets. But
Now,
I don't
when
know.
you here's something I'm confused about because I never looked at the tickets. Can you buy tickets for one day only, or when you buy them, you have to pay the price like times two, or do you have the option to buy one or the other?
You can pick to purchase one night or the other. Or you could buy both.
Well,
It's easier to buy both because you could just say, hey, I want night 2 and night 1, or I just want night 2, or I just want night 1.
well, like if I want to go buy the ticket, like, oh, I'm gonna buy night one and night two, and I buy night one first, and I try to buy night two, and some jackass already bought the seat I'm in, so I go sit somewhere else the next night. Does that happen, or?
I'm not quite sure because I've never actually tried to buy tickets, but that's definitely something we should look into and see if that's actually. I know that if you buy a ticket for night 1, I think you get dibs on night 2 if you're fast enough. I'm just not sure.
Okay, so what jackass wouldn't buy both nights? Like, I'm only going to see night one, and something I know this gets talked about and maybe even heated on this, and this is my opinion on it. When I look at an event, whatever the marquee match is, to me, that's the main event. I don't buy into the dual main events or whatever. Like, unless they sold night one and night two as separate experiences, like this is a separate, complete, different event than night one. But the way that's sold, as far as the marketing is concerned, it's just a singular event spread out over 2 days, right?
Yeah, and that's why I still think to this day the main event of a 2-night event is the last match of night 2.
Bingo.
Um, so
Bingo.
that's why I think you're absolutely right about that. Because like it's literally what you leave the show with. If you're most of the time you're there both nights, yeah, that's the main event.
Can anyone tell me what the first 3 matches are on the Netflix boxing showcase of Tyson versus Paul? Anyone remember
Nope.
those?
No.
Absolutely not. I bet you could
Do you
name
remember the
one.
coat?
I
Do you
remember
remember the
the
coat?
I remember the stream dying as soon as the fight started. God, and then
What
WWE
a
saw that
classic.
and goes, "We want that for our pay-per-view. Sign us up."
I'm table that thought because that's precisely what we're going to get into when we talk about the WWE's new rights deal.
Um,
But I'm telling you, dude, I don't know about you. What do you feel about watching? How much of SummerSlam did you actually watch?
so I watched the first night, just the first 2 matches. Then I had a little incident in the family. I couldn't watch the rest of the show, and I caught just the tail end of the Punk match with the the cash in and everything. But then I watched night two almost in its entirety. But other than that, like, I love SummerSlams. People like to say that it's like WrestleMania of the summer, and I agree. It's with when they were jam packed. Remember pay per views they used to have in between SummerSlam and WrestleMania? To
Yeah.
me, SummerSlam is like a marquee pay per view because it's one of the original four. And one thing I
Well,
will
it's
say about this generation is how fucking spoiled you guys are with how much product you get. 2 nights of a single pay per view alone, but you guys get to watch like every week. How many different shows they have on every week? Raw, SmackDown, NXT,
NXT.
all the middle stuff, the podcast, that they officially license, all that stuff. We had
Yeah.
Raw and
Raw.
Superstars, Wrestling Challenge, and that abortion of a show, Sunday Night Heat. And that was it.
Yes.
That was it. And you were like lucky to be able to watch all of them because you had a pay per view or antenna, and it was all on different channels, and it sucked. But you wanted to absorb as much wrestling as you can. There's so much wrestling going on. I can't find time to watch it all.
It's too hard, honestly. I don't have cable, so I don't get SmackDown. So I have to. Honestly, they do a really good job on YouTube putting the most important clips on there, which is really nice, and Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but what I wanted to talk about SummerSlam though was nights 1 and 2 in terms of in-ring wrestling, not only with the athleticism but the storytelling. This was nothing short of a phenomenal pay-per-view. And I think that making SummerSlam 2 nights, and now you've got WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, and SummerSlam 2 nights. So they've delivered on SummerSlam, and SummerSlam I think is a great. It's a home run. Now they basically have a summer WrestleMania is essentially what this is, and this pay-per-view unto itself, just one night, the first night was phenomenal. Phenomenal storytelling, phenomenal matches. There's maybe some character issues that I'll go over later. I'm not the biggest fan of Tiffany Stratton. I don't know why she's over. I can't fucking stand her.
Well, yeah,
But
let's tuck into it. So, match number one was, you know what? What we're gonna do here is turn on the old Boomertron. Let's pop this thing on. All right, guys, this is our mighty Boomertron. It gives us an encapsulated view on all the whatnots and happenings into the wrestling world to give you guys a quick glimpse of what we're looking at, what we're talking about. And right here, we're using the internet's most trustworthy and definitely not able to be hacked source, Wikipedia, because to me, it's the most concise way to look at the results of a pay-per-view. God bless whatever internet source you guys use, Bleacher Report or WWE itself, where they give you like 4 or 5 paragraphs of stuff that goes on. You're like, no, I just want to know who won. Yeah, this is great. And I love it. Gives you the winner, how they won, and how long the match went. So, SummerSlam Night 1. Opening match. We have Roman Reigns and Jey Uso taking on Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. To me, your opening match is definitely kind of like the linchpin of how a pay-per-view goes. I love spectacle opening matches, ones that get you off your seats, ones that give you a really good finish, something to look forward to. And this one's very unique because here you have 2 former world champions, 1 former face of the company, the next big thing, aka in Braun Breaker, and then you have the job guy, Bronson Reed, in the match.
I thought this was a phenomenal match. Yeah, usually when you put a bunch of guys in a tag team match, it's just to get them on the card and to kind of quote unquote get their stuff in. But I think this showed that Braun Breaker is a star, and that Roman and Braun's, I guess maybe Roman's influence on Braun is, well, excuse me, let me back up. That hopefully Roman can have an influence on Braun as to how to properly manage that style, because he has a very similar style to Roman Reigns, where it's more realistic, more hard-hitting speed and power. And I think it was a great match. And usually it's a throwaway, get your stuff in match, but it wasn't. They actually made it really compelling. And I think this goes to show you that WWE's in-ring product the last 3 or 4 years, nothing short of great, and this proves it. Where they could just put guys in a tag match, and it's like what did John Lennon say? I'm a fucking artist. Give me a tuba, and I'll get you something out of it.
Well, this definitely felt like it was thrown together, and I really a big fan of the premium live event model where they do these really awesome promo packages before each match, because I don't watch the week to week product usually. WWE does such a fantastic job of recapping it on their own social media pages that I don't feel like I need to watch it live anymore, and that's kind of a dangerous concept. But we can tuck into that later. But it definitely feels like it's thrown together because you have a huge main event star, an up and coming main event star, up and coming heel, and then Bronson Reed thrown in here. So you automatically know when this match is booked who's taking the L. But there was so many big spots in this match, and it was really fun to see. I didn't feel tired watching it despite how many things were happening, because I was invested in seeing Braun Breaker kind of get anointed this new position that he was thrust into. And something that if you guys kind of look at how people are booked, if you're usually when you evolve to the next big thing and you're going to step up, if you're a heel, you usually either lose clean or there's a shenanigan that happens and you lose your belt, but then you move on. But when you're a face and you're going to move on to the next level, you usually either drop the title willingly. It's like, hey, look, I don't need this anymore. I'm or it's a big screw job that happens, and you leave that behind you. And Braun, when he lost the Intercontinental title, he wasn't even touched. The pin. It was a 4-way match where Dom stole it, which is storyline wise great. It kept Braun really strong, and they keep building him up. My problem with Braun Breaker right now is he's having a bit of an identity crisis, because he's the son of Rick Steiner, so he's got Rick's intensity, but sometimes he can cut promos as good as his uncle, Scott Steiner. And the issue is Scott is a freaking charisma vortex. This guy bleeds charisma. He's one of the best talkers, underrated talkers, I think, the wrestling world has ever seen. And Braun can sometimes emulate that style, and other times he can't. He seems to miss the mark, and I think he needs to kind of draw that line. Is he this insurmountable, unstoppable badass, a la Ken Shamrock, Goldberg, Ryback, or whatever, or is he, kind of like this guy who talks a lot of crap but can deliver it in the ring, like Scott Steiner is? And he feels like he's in that weird middle part of that where he has not defined himself, and I think he needs to define himself to be successful. Because for me, Ken Shamrock was one of my boys, and in the ring he was so dominant. Look at his old footage. The ankle lock was the most over move in the Attitude Era. Most people didn't last 4 seconds. They would tap so quick, but the second they put a mic in his mouth, you could see during the promo he cut, his fucking push just drop because he couldn't talk. And I don't want the same thing to happen to Braun.
I think that's why they put him with Paul. I think that Seth Rollins and the Vision is like kind of like Seth Rollins is like kind of like main event last hurrah, but what it's really all about is building up Bronson and Braun Breaker, but especially Braun Breaker. And I think you're right about like his identity crisis. I think they're going to try and do both. In the ring, he's raw. They've got to give him the Roman treatment, learn how to maximize your talents. And on the microphone, well, even in the match, he was like talking shit. I think he was talking shit to Roman. It was freaking hilarious. I'm like, that's funny.
That. Yes, please keep doing that. And
keep doing that. Keep doing it.
That's one thing he does well. The other thing he does well is the spear. And I have to say, God in heaven, what the hell is everyone doing this damn move for? Okay, there's only one other person who does a spear epically, and that's Goldberg. And Braun evolved the spear into something even better. Everyone else just stopped fucking doing the move. Okay, there's no reason on earth Jey Uso should be doing the fucking spear. Absolutely, he was the smallest guy in that ring, and the spear is like you're tackling somebody at full force or whatever. And it's like throwing Jey Uso's like you get hit with a tic tac. All right, I don't know how you sell that move. At least Roman, he's big enough that when he collides into you, he does the ooh-ah thing, and okay, that sells the move a little bit. But Jey Uso is just like a tackle.
Well, both Roman and Braun were professional football players, so I think the spear fits them both. I don't like the move being bastardized. I think only one person should do it, but um, yeah, I tend to agree with you. But what I really wanted to dive deep into is the main event and the, I guess, post main event, CM Punk and Gunther. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, for me, I anytime I see CM Punk on the card, I know it's going to be a fairly good match. Early on, I admit I was not a big CM Punk fan in the beginning. You being the old indie guy, when you knew CM Punk was coming to WWE, you got super excited. I just didn't get him, and I think WWE didn't get him either. They've shared my sentiments because how do you win back to back Money in the Banks, and your most memorable title run didn't come until like 3 years after that? Like it's so sad, and I think he was at that level. He could have been at that level, but they just didn't know what to do with him. And um, I don't care what people say about Vince McMahon. I think he's like this god and genius booker. Look at Vince's track record. Can you name how many stars that Vince McMahon handmade? I give you this gimmick, you take the ball, run with it, and they became a top guy. Can you name anybody right now off the top of your head? Think about it.
Most of them were gimmicks that that the talent creator that came in with.
Exactly. That's the thing. And CM Punk had a really good gimmick he was strong with. And RVD had another great gimmick he was strong. But there's like, we can't bring this guy in here talking about smoking marijuana and you can't say the F word. Okay, so we have crippled RVD. Cool, dang. Okay, all right, I'm hip or whatever. And CM Punk, they didn't let him do the straight edge stuff at the beginning. It's like, no, we're just going to sell him as a white meat baby face, which is the hardest thing to be. That is such a difficult position to be put in. And I always think that you define yourself first as a heel and let the audience turn you face. This
Yes.
Austin was a phenomenal heel. The fans turned face. Rock, Rock was at one point the biggest heel in the Attitude Era, and I'm not even talking about when he won the world title. Back in '97, when Shawn, after he beat Brett at Survivor Series, the Montreal Screwjob, Rock was by far the biggest heel in the company back then because Shawn had so much apathy over what happened. People didn't know whether to boo him or cheer him. They kind of just didn't want to see him after he screwed Brett. But Rock became the biggest heel, and in turn, after people loved to hate him, they started to love him. CM Punk was crippled the second he came in here because he came in as a babyface with no edge to him. So there's nothing to latch onto to like, and that's how I felt. I didn't know his past, so I couldn't do it now. But as he's evolved, when he dropped the pipe bomb, I started getting more, okay, thank you for showing yourself. You got some character, you got some chutzpah. Let's do it, let's go. And calling himself the best in the world and then proving it is a marquee talent right there. And I think he delivers on that. And I think even at his age, which is so odd to think that where are our top stars who are in their 20s right now? It feels like you don't hit your prime in wrestling until you're 40, which is the dumbest thing. You're like old and banged up and beat up or whatever, but they all seem to be doing so well at that age.
You know, I've got a theory about that, but I think that the wrestling audience respects longevity, and once they've seen you for a long time, they're like, okay, this guy's here for us. He's like Christian he got over, even though he was great. He got over because the fans were like, he's been here a long time. He's been busting his ass. We love him. But the big thing about Punk winning this belt, first off, the match with Gunther was great. And this just goes to show you that CM Punk right now is the workhorse for the WWE. But he's like your workhorse that's also winning the Kentucky Derby. He's putting on the best promos, the best matches. I'm pretty sure he's number 2 in merch behind Cody, if I'm not mistaken. But the biggest thing is the fact that they have basically put CM Punk in every position to help the company. He had to main event the first show on Netflix. Very, very marquee, very big moment. They had to go with Punk. Main events night 1 WrestleMania. Now he's main eventing the first night of the first 2 night SummerSlam with Gunther. They're like, okay, We know Gunther and CM Punk are going to deliver. And right now, it just seems like, when is Punk really going to get his just due? Yes, he was happy that he main evented night one of WrestleMania, but I'm sorry, and I don't know if you agree with this. The main event is the last match of the second night of a 2-night pay per view.
Absolutely.
Um,
I mean, we talk about this offline, but like when you buy tickets to an event, like whatever shows up, whatever comes on last, that's the one, the memorable, and that's the one you leave with. I don't know how the premium live event model is when you buy tickets. Like if you go and you buy the night one ticket, you automatically buy one for night two. Like it would suck if you didn't, because like, oh, I buy one night one ticket, I'm gonna buy night twos. Oh, some jackass took my seat, now I gotta go sit somewhere else. But either way, the first and second day, unless the two nights are completely booked differently, they're sold differently, they're packaged differently, you're going to Summerslam. That's one, or WrestleMania. That's a one event. The main event of that event is one match. You can't have two. And I feel bad because I know Punk was happy that he got his quote unquote WrestleMania main event, but that wasn't a main event. I'm sorry, Punk. You
it
deserve
wasn't.
better. You definitely deserve the main event, the actual main event, and I don't buy into anyone else saying, "Oh, it was a main event." No, sorry, it wasn't. Because at the end of the day, you look at what the last match of that card was. That's their main event. That's the one that went on last. And even Punk himself has been on camera and said that, because they said, "Oh yeah, you would Taker. You're the main event of WrestleMania." It's like, I'm not on last though, but you're the main event. Like, I'm not
Well,
on
there's
last.
4 main events. He's like, no, I'm not on last. Like
Exactly.
yeah. Rollins cashes it in at the end,
I remember
gets his revenge on.
as soon as it happens, because I watched WWE Unreal after that, and I said, "Wow, man, Punk got screwed twice. Brett's got nothing on him. He lost the
Yeah.
Rumble and this." And
Uh,
again, with WWE's classic taste for doing shock and awe, they tried to pull this storyline that half of the internet wrestling community had predicted, that, oh, Seth is faking his injury, he's going to cash in at SummerSlam and screw Punk. And then some people saw that and they got super upset about it. And I'm like, okay, when you're building a storyline and there is a quote unquote predictable result, it doesn't mean the story is bad. It means everything was built up to this moment. I'm tired of WWE doing stuff to shock the audience and changing results and changing things just because, oh, they predicted, oh, I'll show them, they don't know what they're talking about, and we'll completely screw up a story and change it around just because the audience has predicted something's going to happen. Like, I don't find the Seth thing bad. I thought it was a great idea. Oh, let's tell him he's not going to cash in or whatever, but he's going to screw Punk because they've been feuding, since Mania. Like, it's a great storyline. It's fantastic. I loved it. I can tell you one guy who didn't love it though. Do you see that viral video of that dude yelling when people were singing Seth Rollins' theme,
yes.
leaving
He was
SummerSlam?
so pissed.
He was mad.
Eh,
Shut up!
Shut up. I love it. It's still real to him, damn it. And bless his heart. But you know what? I think it was a great story. And Paul Heyman went over it in the Ariel Helwani show. I don't know if you saw it, but he talks about how Punk has been this thorn in his side, preventing him from getting close to the title. So what does he do? He finds a way to get to Punk and take the title so Punk can't prevent him from getting it. And it's a great story. And what I'm hoping is that this leads to a main event, because the WrestleMania 40's main event was supposed to be Punk and Rollins. So maybe it's now going to be 42's main event. Well, fingers crossed.
I just hope it's not for the World Heavyweight Championship, because, guys, much like night one of PLE, the World Heavyweight Championship is the mid-card Heavyweight Championship. I'm sorry. I don't care what you guys think about it. The WWE Undisputed, well, I guess now it's just the WWE Championship. That's the main belt. That's the one everyone fights for. That's the one everyone looks at. This secondary, but I never liked the brand split belts, and because you look at one champion, well, one's bigger than the other guy. These two belts, no matter what happens, I don't think you can have two world champions in the same company. Fine to have it in two separate organizations, but not for the same company. It doesn't make sense. And I think Punk needs to vie for a bigger title at Mania, at a main event, to make it worth it. And I don't know if that's Seth leaving and winning another belt, the other belt, or having Punk and Rhodes go at it at WrestleMania, face versus face match. I think that'd be a fantastic match and fun to watch. But either way, I think Punk deserves the real marquee main event WrestleMania match next year. Like, you have to give it to him. I don't think there's anyone else who's ready or built up like Punk.
Well, he's delivering on every, I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again. He's delivering on every aspect in the business. He's talking you into the building. Once you get there, you get the best match of the night. And he's selling all the merch. And he's the reason why they got the Netflix deal. Eric Bischoff, who was shitting on Punk, was like, WWE signing CM Punk was the best thing WWE's probably ever done, because it got him fucking, what, $10 billion or $5 billion from Netflix or whatever the deal was.
Yeah.
But I hope that, because see, right now, Cody Rhodes has been on the poster for WrestleMania the last 3 years. I think it's time for CM Punk to be on the poster of WrestleMania. But that's just my thoughts. But
I agree.
night 2 went a little bit differently. I mean, we had some good matches. I don't know if you caught the TLC match. TLC match was great. 6-pack TLCs are the way to go, in my opinion. There's just always action going on.
You know what? I think they need to make that a SummerSlam tradition, like a tag team TLC. They're finally bringing back a decent tag team division again. And I know it's hard because, again, end of the day, no one who goes into the wrestling business ever says, "Oh man, I want to go in there and I want to be the tag team champion." No, everyone wants to be the world champion. They want to be the solo guy, and it's like a solo thing. And tag teams are kind of seen as the tertiary belt. Like, even in the olden days, you look at tag team champions and they're like, "Oh yeah, the tag team champions are cool," but they don't hold a candle to the Intercontinental or World Champion at all. And
It's fluff for the most part on paper, but sometimes tag team wrestling is like a car crash in the middle, like kind of like mixes it up. And this was a great place to put it. Like, second match of the night, get the crowd going.
well, the crowd definitely was going for the main event, and I have to admit, as much as I like Cody, and as much as I detest Cena, but that's neither here nor there. I really found their match to be exhausting. And I say that not only because the match was almost 40 fucking minutes long, but because John hit 8 attitude adjustments during the entire match and couldn't put Cody away. And to me, it's not a measurement of Cody's toughness of kicking out of 8 of those things. It's, to me, that's telling me John Cena's finisher is a shit move, because you can't beat anybody with it. And even when Cody won the world title by doing 3 freaking crossroads, I thought that was too much. I said, no. Why? Do 1. That should be like, that's it. Like, I hit it once. Awesome. Great. Your boy, Scott Hall, had the best philosophy on it. When he knew he was losing a match, he was not hitting the razor's edge. He protected that move. And because he knew that was an important move. And I think we need to go back to that, because now the audience is trained to, when they see a finisher, oh great, act 2 of the match started instead of the final act. Like, and I there's a lot of reasons I blame it. I blame Austin and Rock at WrestleMania 17 for it. They did it and they said, oh, that worked, we got to keep doing that, and we'll just keep doing it over and over again, and it just explodes. Like, you're not making matches more compelling, you're just making moves look shitty, and you need to stop doing that.
Well, I think John Laurinaitis had a lot of it's on the whole kicking out of finishers thing. That was an All Japan Pro Wrestling type philosophy that I don't agree with, and I'm glad that we both don't agree with that, because it's a shit philosophy. I don't know if you know the Croatian kickboxer MMA fighter Mirko Krokop, but he was known for having a left high kick that was so fast and so powerful it would come out of nowhere and just knock guys out cold. And he made a living off of this because he was the one guy in MMA that had like a finishing move. He had a finishing move, and it was his left high kick, and he did it quite often. And in my opinion, a finish is a finish. You should hit it, and it should almost surprise the audience that you finally get to it, depending upon what your finish is. If there's like a build up to it, like the people's elbow, there's a build up to it. But like, they overused the finisher. But overall, though, way better match than the crap match they had at WrestleMania. I mean, even Meltzer's like 5 stars for this one. I don't know if I'd give it 5 stars, but it was definitely a 9 out of 10 for me. I think the street fight match type gimmick match was the perfect setting for that match. And I think that Cody once again, like I see in WrestleMania, Cody used his athleticism almost like I think he was just kind of like showing everyone that Cena wasn't on his level because Cena could not keep up with Cody Rhodes' athleticism. But in this match, it was a little bit more tame, and you got to see John's more like a side of John that's more palatable. And that's probably why I think the match came off so good. Um, I think it was a great match. Overall, what did you think of the match?
Um, to me, I was confused, and I say that because the I don't know if you heard this, but the reason remember Travis Scott, Mr. Big Shot, who had a big role in the in what the Elimination Chamber and then WrestleMania, he couldn't make the finish for SummerSlam for whatever reason, so they had to write him out of it, which is why they wrote John Cena doing like, "All right, I'm back, I'm a face again," which made no sense. To me, I think it would have been a better story if John was like, "Look, I am now ruthless. I am bringing the aggression, and I'm just going to beat the hell out of you this time until there's absolutely nothing left. You're getting John Cena at his worst and his best, and there's nothing you can do to stop me." And I think the underdog story of overcoming that, and during the match, like as John is trying to beat Cody and Cody keeps kicking out and not doing it, you can see John get frustrated. And not in an angry heel way. It's like, am I wrong? Did I not? Am I not good enough? Like or whatever. And then he turns himself like in the match. He or Cody turns him back face in it because people are starting to respect. Like he's gonna do something bad and he stops himself. Like, look, I tried it before. It's not working. I'm not gonna do it. I gotta beat him this way. And I think that would have made a more compelling story, but because Travis Scott couldn't be involved, they had to change it. They had to change the booking last minute, and that's why they had this. Like the match was good, definitely agree. It's better than WrestleMania's match. Storyline wise, just didn't make sense to me, and that's the reason I'm compelled to watch these matches because hey, the story's good enough to sell that to me. But it's more of WWE's fantastic shock and awe at work. Hey, we're gonna do stuff to surprise you, which opinion wise, I know you don't agree with me on this one, but I'm not a fan of wrestlers making big comebacks or show ups and then not doing anything. They just show up to a place, hey, I'm here. They don't cut a promo, they don't have a match. They just show like it was a big moment when CM Punk came back in the Survivor Series, but he didn't do anything. He just showed up, he pounded the mat twice, and he was there. Not a fan of that. That was it. At least who showed up now at the end of SummerSlam, they did something. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, did you have any inkling that this was going to happen, that Brock Lesnar was going to return?
I had no I hadn't if you had told me that Brock was coming back, I would have been like maybe if the lawsuit got settled and
Yeah.
somehow Brock was found to not have any wrongdoing in the lawsuit and correct me if I'm wrong, is Brock's only involvement in the lawsuit that he was also having an affair with the woman who filed the lawsuit?
It was alleged, and I'm saying alleged because it's been a while since I read about this, that he had asked, basically said, as a part of his contract signing, hey, I want this woman too as well.
Oh my god.
So that's
Yeah.
yeah, that's look, if I'm all about innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, whatever. I can disassociate someone with that if that's the case. But I think you need to settle that shit before you bring him back because his return
Yeah.
is so fucking polarizing. Like it's great to have Braun back. Like for me, I thought Cena's last match was gonna be against Punk because to me that's his biggest rival. And taking Punk out like what so early on into this last year run, that was odd. I'm like, okay, after Rhodes, who's Cena gonna fight next? I'll give WWE credit. I was shocked. I never thought Brock was gonna return, but it's like everyone's like, oh cool, he's back. Oh wait, he's like kind of half raped a woman or allegedly half raped. Like I don't know.
Yeah, you know, and to be honest with you, like when he came out, I popped, and it's like I forgot that he had done that, and then of course, like as he comes out, I'm like, oh fuck, wait a minute, hold on a second here. Didn't he do all this crazy shit? And I think that's kind of the power of the product, is that you can kind of mask what they've done in their personal life. And let me just say this. I think that what I read in those text messages was just disgusting. And I'm pretty sure that there's some wrongdoing going on against that woman. Um, but then again, I popped when he came out. I can't help it. It's crazy how that works out. And it's very controversial. I don't know what the right answer is, but he's back. And that's just the way it is. And we have to talk about it. And I think storyline and wrestling wise, it's a perfect time for him to come back.
Let me ask you this. Uh, Same scenario. Instead of Brock coming out, Benoit's music hits, and then his son walks out. What's your reaction? Look at your face. You see that? You're like, what the? Exactly. Exactly. So I think at the moment you pop for a second, and that's what they wanted, this shock and awe, because they knew it was only going to last for a short moment. People didn't breathe and realize the magnitude of what was happening until afterwards. So to me, it's their marketing team going, we're going to get a bunch of social media hits, get a lot of impressions, going to get a lot of shares, a lot of people talking about WWE. Afterwards, they're like, what the fuck is this guy doing? And how dare he come? That stuff. But hey, after that, they've already got their impressions. They've got people tuning into Raw and SmackDown, the views and everything like that. And that's, the bottom line. That's what they were going for. And allegedly their lawyers, quote unquote, cleared Brock 4 weeks prior to the event. I don't know what that means. Again, whatever. We'll see what the courts decide. Maybe, by the time his run is done, he probably won't even be in court. So whatever. At the end of the day, it's capitalism, baby. If you choose to support the product with Brock in there, awesome. If you choose to walk away from it because he's there, whatever. It's your money. You could join the show. Wrestling is now shitty because Brock Lesnar is back. Feel free to join the conversation.
And speaking of the bottom line, WWE signs a $1.6 billion deal with ESPN.
That's the main event for tonight, guys. Yeah, we're going to be talking about, let's bump this up. So it was broke August 6th this week that WWE they're paying 1.6 billion over 5 years for the streaming rights of WWE's premium live events. So now, the former $10 WWE network, where you got access to everything, has now been kind of crimped, cut, and spread out through the entire streaming sphere and gutted because they could sell bits and pieces of it off. And all I can say is, what the fuck are they thinking? Who thought this was a good idea?
Well, on paper, remember, WWE is not a real sport, and ESPN never. I mean, they just recently started covering WWE a couple of years ago. They have a tab where you can click on WWE. Now WWE's on ESPN. 30 years ago, if you said WWE's going to be on ESPN, everyone would have laughed at you. This is big for WWE. And
all right, let's be real. AWA was on ESPN once too, okay?
That was when ESPN was a nothing network. ESPN is like the sports network now.
But WWE is not a sport.
It doesn't matter.
They tell you it's not. They already told you it's not.
This is great for WWE, and I'll tell you why. Because ESPN does a really good job of selling its product. Like UFC went from Fox to ESPN, and their revenues went through the roof. Because see, what ESPN does is you'll be watching Monday Night Football on ESPN, and they'll go, by the way, on the ticker, John Jones versus Stipe Miocic this Saturday. Just like WCW used to do on TNT during NBA on TNT. By the way, Bash the Beach, Hogan and Dennis Rodman versus Karl Malone and DDP. And the money, I mean, the money's incredible. And also, so I want to say this: ESPN Plus is the absolute worst streaming app in the history of streaming apps. It's dog shit. And the model with UFC, like you have to buy it, you have to pay for the ESPN Plus sub, and then you have to pay for the pay-per-view is dog shit. This new direct to consumer ESPN is great because see, I don't have cable. I'm a cord cutter. So now for 30 bucks, I get ESPN plus the library, plus ESPN Plus, and now I get premium live events. For me, as a sports fan, 30 bucks a month is better than the 150 bucks I used to spend on satellite, and I was only watching ESPN anyways. Um, However, the one thing that is concerning me is the library. I'm a but I don't know if you've noticed this lately. I think they're just going to dump the library on YouTube. They've been doing that lately. So pull up that tweet about how much it costs to be a wrestling fan. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, here's my deal on it. Like, you're right. Business sense, it makes a lot of sense. How much did TKO spent on WWE? Like 10, 15 billion dollars to buy WWE? They got to start making that money back to see profits on it. And it makes sense. Like, hey, if I do this, because at the end of the day, you're supported, really supported by your whales. A lot of the people who complain about this stuff probably don't buy or don't have subs to Peacock or Netflix anyways. They just watch it online or watch the after. Look at this.
Or
Look at
download
WWE.
it or stream
Here
it.
is WWE's Twitter right here. Look at this shit. I don't have to watch Raw or SmackDown or any of the weekly shows or even the pay-per-views because you can click and they show the most important moments of those events on their Twitter page, like right after it happens.
Or
So why don't I have to pay
Instagram or on
money?
YouTube. Yeah.
Right. You don't need to do that. But digging back in, look at this. So ESPN, you're paying $30 a month. Netflix, at the bare minimum, pay $8, and then Peacock, you pay another $8, and then you have to have cable or internet to get Raw or SmackDown. So at a minimum, you have to pay $100 for the complete package of WWE. And remember earlier when I was saying how wrestling fans are spoiled because they have access to so much stuff now. There's so many programs that go on, everything like that. This is the despoiling right here, because now they're saying, look, you want to be the pay-per-view guy? Go get the ESPN if you don't care about the month-to-month stuff. Oh, you're a big Raw fan? Well, you're gonna have to get a Netflix subscription or whatever. For me, price-wise, I have subscriptions to Peacock and Netflix anyways, because
Yeah.
I have kids, and I bought the Hulu Disney Plus ESPN package not because I wanted ESPN, but because I wanted Hulu and Disney Plus, and it was cheaper to get all three than to get Hulu and Disney Plus separate.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm gonna get that anyways, but it might change because Disney Plus is absorbing Hulu starting next year. Hulu's gonna be disappear.
Thank goodness. That app sucks balls too.
Yeah, and now it's just gonna be Disney Plus. So I don't know if they're gonna. Oh yeah, they are gonna package that. It's gonna be $35 a month for both of those. I don't know if I'm gonna pick that up. They'll really have to sell me hard on premium live events. Like, I'm worried about this. Hey, we keep doing these 2 night models. We should do it like more pay-per-views 2 nights. Don't do the Rumble 2 nights, okay? Because if you do the men's Rumble on night 1 and the women's Rumble on night 2, I promise you, one of those events will not be as attended as the other one. I'm sorry. They should not tell anyone which night 1 and night 2 is going to be to ensure attendance, because the fact of the matter is, like, the Rumble should be a self-contained one-all thing. I'm okay with it for WrestleMania because it needs it, because it's the biggest show of the year. I'm kind of okay with it for SummerSlam because SummerSlam is also like the summer WrestleMania. But this is damn near extortion. Like,
I wouldn't call it extortion.
I don't $100 to watch wrestling, to get all of wrestling. If you're just a wrestling fan and you don't watch anything else, like, I know I don't watch other sports, so I have no use for ESPN. I don't care. Can they sell me a package where it's just the WWE Premier Live events? Absolutely not, because they need to make that money. They need to bank on that. You ever heard of this this sales technique where they'll try to sell you, like, there's a newspaper. We'll sell you the web article edition for $25 a month. We'll sell you the print edition for $100 a month, or we'll sell you the print and web edition for $100 a month. Well, of course I'm going to get the print and web for $100 because it's the same price as the print. But they really price it that way because they know you're going to choose the middle one anyways. Or sorry, the one, the best value one anyways, because that was the one they're trying to sell you in the first place. So the perceived value is there. You're like, okay, I'm getting kind of a deal with this. Why not? I fell for that. I just admitted it. I bought freaking Disney Plus and Hulu and ESPN because it was cheaper. It worked. It works. It does.
And you don't even watch ESPN Plus. I don't
No,
think you've
I
ever
have
installed the freaking
never
app.
installed the app. Not once. I don't even know if I have an actual account. Like, it might be stuck on register.
That's hilarious. No, but I mean, I understand that, like, just if you're just a wrestling fan, you have no use for any other type of content. Yes, it's kind of it's gotten more expensive, but take away ESPN, Netflix and Peacock are still there, plus the internet's still there. Is it really that much more? I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, so that's here's the thing. W Endeavor Group, they bought the UFC for $4 billion. Endeavor Group did not have $4 billion in a bank account sitting around. They had to borrow that money from Deutsche Bank. So what did they start doing? They started doing more shows on ESPN. They started not going to the Apex. Well, they started going to the Apex so they wouldn't have to spend money on road costs. And then they bought WWE for $10 billion. So now what do they have to do? They have to get a bigger Netflix deal, and then they have to go to ESPN and split their audience apart because they have to. Because once again, Endeavor probably borrowed that money. I don't know who they borrowed it from, but they're due, like, I think 150, 200 million a quarter to these big banks, and they've got to get the revenue for it. And it may not be everybody's cup of tea. I'm kind of excited for it that WWE is on ESPN and now it's being taken more seriously. This is just kind of like my, my positive, glass half full. Maybe now they'll get the respect that they deserve as being athletic performers, although it's not a sport. But now they're on ESPN, and you're going to go click through the ESPN app, and you've got a choice now whether you're going to watch hockey, football, or wrestling or WrestleMania.
When you
Let's see what you
have
choose.
more eyes on you, there means there is a bigger potential for loss when there's failure. So I can only imagine that if there are more people who are watching WWE with this whole Cena and Rhodes debacle, they look at it from a sports perspective. Well, I just want to see these two guys fight. I don't care what the story is. But the story is part of the big draw of wrestling. So if the story is not there, who's going to care? Like, what marquee match would have been like Brett versus Shawn at WrestleMania 12 if it was just like, okay, Shawn won the Rumble, let's do it. No, it's they put in an Iron Man match. The two best technical wrestlers WWE had at the time are going to showcase their technicality in a 1 hour minimum fight. That was the story. What a draw. But if you just put these two guys together and just like, oh, Shawn made fun of his family one time and Brett is super mad at him. Like, if the story's not there, who's going to care and who's going to watch? So they gotta tighten up their butt. They can't keep dropping the shock and awe stuff for the sake of shock and awe because it's not going to work. It's just going to keep failing. It's going to fall flat, and then they're going to lose this audience they cultivated. And I'm very curious. I want to see the streaming numbers for ESPN the first couple of weeks, for the first couple PLEs that they do. And I know, especially on the internet and reviews, you're much more likely to post something negative than you are positive. Like, think about this. Like, when you go and you're looking up a restaurant on Yelp and you look at the reviews or whatever, what do you go to first? Well, I'm going to read the bad reviews because I want to see what the worst part of this restaurant is, not the good experiences people have. And my wife, God bless her, every time we go in there, she goes, read the reviews and tell me what people say is good. She wants to know what the best item in the menu is. And that's, to me, I always look at the bad reviews. I want to see if this place is shit. Did a waiter blow snot in my freaking my fruit bowl or something like that? Tell me, because I won't go to this place if that's the case. In the same sense, a lot of people are saying, I saw a poll of a bunch of people saying, like, who's going to buy this now? And, like, it was like 95% said no. Okay, the 95% of you that said no probably don't have a Peacock subscription or
they're fucking lying.
Yeah.
Just to fuck the poll numbers
up. You're upset, but you're probably still going to buy it. To me, I honestly don't know. I don't know if I'm going to buy ESPN for the premium live events now because it's I don't know if it's worth it to me. Not $30 a month. It's absolutely worth it to me for the 17 I pay for Peacock, but not at 30 because I get a bigger library of stuff on Peacock that I watch, movies, television shows, things from that library that's very drawing to me. But ESPN, no, I don't watch any other sports. So as that wrestling fan in that area that I'm in, it's more than likely I'm not going to buy it. But there are a lot of wrestling fans who are big sports fans, and that's a draw to them. Some of them already have ESPN subscriptions, so like, oh, okay, it's not going to be a big deal to me. But I if I were to venture a guess, I definitely don't think it's a good idea though. I think it's bad because people were already used to paying a certain price for something. You cannot raise the price of that unless you raise the quality. And doing 2 nights of a show isn't raising the quality. You're just extending out your product right now. And I don't know that this answer is going to be salvation. This feels like a business decision that to try to generate more revenue versus one that the fans generated. Like WWE Access events. Like
what do you think that what would have been the more fan friendly deal? Like where should they have gone to make it more fan friendly?
Like, okay, so you ever use Groupon?
Sure.
Okay, how many restaurants have you visited after the same restaurant you visited after you used the Groupon?
I usually use Groupon for other things like tickets to local events and stuff like that for like the kids.
So if you look up the statistics on it, any restaurant that's used Groupon typically fails within the first 2 to 3 years. And why is that? Because when you sell your product and you get a Groupon for it, that is the expected price that you're willing to pay and you're expected to pay for that product. There's no way you can convince somebody to pay more for it unless it's something of outstanding quality that you're like, oh my God, I really need to get it. But like Groupons don't go viral. The restaurants that do them, they don't go viral. They use Groupon as a marketing tool because they're trying to get their name out there. But they have that reasonable expectation of how much a product's going to cost and what their service is going to cost. WWE had already set the bar with the WWE Network, $10 a month, and you get all this stuff, all access to it. It was revolutionary. It was like the best thing I think WWE has done since the Attitude Era. It was fantastic. And then when they split off, they said, oh, okay, we're going to go to Peacock now. It's not that. The price raised a little bit. But you were getting so much more. You were getting access to Peacock's library, the universal library of movies, television shows, NBC, all that good stuff, The Office, Parks and Rec. So many different shows. Like, okay, the value was there. Then WWE said, you know what, we're taking Raw off. We're going to put, it's a Netflix show now. Now you can't even watch Raw episodes of Raw, old ones on Peacock. And in fact, I remember I told you this before and you were shocked. They haven't even uploaded the entire Raw library to Netflix. I think only 25% of the episodes of Raw are uploaded, and they're not even in order. They're just picked and choose from certain events and certain years throughout there, and they're trying to sprinkle it in every couple of weeks or so to keep people subscribing. So they have like, oh, okay, we'll just build out the library over a couple of years, and by 5 or 6 years at the end of the deal, all the Raw episodes will be there. That was really polarizing because now the value is, look, I already had a Netflix subscription, awesome, but you've taken away something that I used to have. You've taken away those episodes of Raw, so I'm not gaining anything. And now they're taking away the premium live events from Peacock and say, guess what, you're going to have to pay more for this now. But you're going to have to buy into another network. Maybe you don't have a subscription of. If spitballing here, how many subscribers are there to ESPN? Like how many?
ESPN Plus?
Yeah, just dig into those numbers. If we're spitballing here,
yeah, I would say less than 1 million.
How many more do you think this could sell? Like for ESPN Plus, there's definitely a lot of wrestling fans who were willing to buy it.
Actually, ESPN Plus currently has 24.1 million subscribers.
Yeah, I know it's a big thing, but for sports people, WWE, try as they might, they are not a sport. They're not. It is such a different type of product than ESPN typically offers. It's like this ad hoc. I know you were excited for it. I don't think WWE and ESPN, like maybe back when I was a kid, when I still thought this shit was real, like, yeah, it should be on there. It's a sport. Yeah, they wrestle, they fight. It's in a ring, whatever. But now, now that I know, and I know it's with WWE Unreal, and they're pulling back the curtain. Vince said it on Beyond the Mat. We're making movies here. Like, it made more sense for them to be on a streaming service with other movies because they're an entertainer platform versus a sporting one. So I don't foresee the value here.
I was hoping that they would go on Netflix because, see, to me, Netflix is my favorite subscription, my favorite streaming service, and they just boosted its value like tenfold for me. Like they made because see, I don't have a cord cutter. So when they went to Netflix, they made my Netflix subscription worth more money to me, and it gave me access to programming I didn't have. Now, ESPN, the new app, is going to have, with $5 more, you're going to get Disney Plus with all the Hulu content, and that opens up. And I'm sorry, but Peacock's content isn't as good as, like, not even as good as Paramount Plus's content. They're bottom of the barrel.
You
I mean,
shut your
WWE
whore mouth, Mister. I've watched every episode of The Office twice.
Hey, The Office was better on Netflix, anyways. It was
What?
easier to navigate.
Oh,
Yeah.
don't
But,
you dare.
No, but the point that I'm trying to make is that I think that I think that Peacock just wasn't the only reason why they went to Peacock is because Vince had a really good relationship with Dick Ebersol and has that help with NBC, and I'm kind of glad that they're gone from there. I think that this is a great move for them. I think that I'm excited to get ESPN access to it. Like if they had not done the WWE deal, I would still buy the ESPN sub because I want the sports content. I want more games. Like the other day, the Cubs were on ESPN, and I have an MLB.TV subscription, and I couldn't watch it because it was on ESPN. And I'm like, well, fuck. Like now I can watch it, or I can watch Monday Night Football now, and I can watch all the ABC content, all the sports on ABC, and so I think this is a great move. I think it's going to elevate WWE to heights, and you might get some more fans out of it because you have to understand WWE being on Peacock. First off, Peacock's a shit service. You're not going to get more WWE fans out of Peacock, but you might out of ESPN, or at the very least, you make your WWE fans happy because there's a lot of them that are sports fans, anyways.
I agree that there are WWE fans who are sports fans. I don't agree though that this is a vertical integration move here, because think about this, hey, bro. You ever play Grand Theft Auto San Andreas?
Not San Andreas, no.
You never played it. You know you can though, right?
On Netflix.
Yeah. Have you played on Netflix?
No.
Exactly. They have a whole gaming platform that no one ever touches because they don't buy Netflix for games. So
but that comparison isn't quite true, though.
But I'm just saying, like you have this value offering that Netflix said, oh, we're going to add gaming now because we're going to try to differentiate ourselves. I don't know anybody who plays games on Netflix. I mean, there might be a market for it. There might be a few people who do it. I haven't heard of people talk about it since. Like, they don't really boast about the numbers unless they're good. Like, I didn't know you know this, but half of Netflix subscribers watch anime.
Really?
Yeah, those are pretty big.
Probably because of the international numbers. Well, here's the thing, though. You say $30 a month is too much to spend on PLEs. How much was SummerSlam 1993?
You're again, like I was saying, yeah, SummerSlam 93 was like what, $25 so we paid, maybe 30.
$29.90. Nope, $29.99. It was $30.
But you can't sell me. How much did you pay for SummerSlam this year, Midnyte? How much?
Well, I get my Peacock subscription for free because I have Xfinity internet. So
exactly. But now you're gonna have to pay for it. So how can you tell me go from free to $30 in that value add? Without what difference do you make?
For me personally, that $30 is giving me a lot more value outside of WWE. And now like if I had a paid for a Peacock subscription, I would just get rid of it. I wouldn't have a Peacock subscription. And secondly, $29.99 in 1993, I think was 4 or 5 times the federal minimum wage. Or adjusted for inflation, it's probably like 70, $80 now. 30 bucks to drop to watch a show for 2 hours is a lot of money. Not only, but now you're paying that every month for all of the PLEs, all of the on-demand PLEs, and then all the ESPN content. So yeah, it is a better value. Is it
only
more than
to
if you were just at
only to
good?
ESPN fans, because if you are used, look at WWE came out over a the network came out over a decade ago. A
They
decade
should have just
ago,
kept the
fans
network.
were yes, exactly.
And
A
what they
decade
should have
of
done
paying
was
for $10 a month for all this shit, and now we're
okay.
saying we're going to pay more.
Let me ask this question: if WWE Network was $50 a month, but it was the only place you could watch Raw, SmackDown, and PLEs, would you pay it?
No, because I'm not invested in the product that much. To me, when it was $10 a month, even I wasn't watching the product back then, and I bought it because I wanted the old access to the old stuff because it was there.
That's why I bought it. I wanted the fucking library.
Exactly, exactly. And they split up the library because you said you were going to buy ESPN and WWE because the value is there. Oh, yeah, yeah, the value is there. Exactly. What was that example I told you before about the print and the web editions of articles? Oh, yeah, I'm going to buy it because that's its value to me. I'm going to buy it. That's what they want you to. They are looking for you because there's a sucker born every minute. And they're hoping that their whales, the ones who just consume WWE as their flagship, are going to boost this up. And I'm telling you, that's the problem because these guys, these whales who are going to pay this much, are few and far between. I don't think it's going to be the big bolster to ESPN's numbers that they think they are, because there's only like I'm more than likely if I were to make the decision today, I'm not going to buy ESPN for the WWE PLEs. I'm not. It's not the. I don't see the value in it yet. It was such an easy decision for me to do it on Peacock because there was stuff I wanted to watch on Peacock. WWE Network, the same thing. Netflix already had a subscription, so it doesn't matter. But this move right here, I would be shocked, and I will come back to this episode and we can time it and say I will be absolutely shocked if this was a jump started WWE's numbers like a rocket ship at all. I honestly think this will be at best a lateral move and at worst detrimental.
You could be right. What I'm interested in, I'm glad that the app is releasing like in a couple weeks, and then the first PLE is WrestleMania. They better have their shit together because ESPN Plus, in terms of its quality right now for like UFC events, is horrible, and its entire interface. Like if you ever get ESPN Plus, like you go to its interface and you go to the search bar, you can't search for a show in their search bar. It
What?
searches for its search bar in ESPN Plus is for the entire ESPN website. If you
Oh
want to
my
find some,
god.
yeah, if you want to find something, you damn well better know the category that it's in. And it's so hopeful, and I'm pretty sure that's probably why it's crappy because they've got this new one coming out in 2 weeks, anyways. But they better have their stuff together because they can't be like the I think that's what drove WWE to go to ESPN for their PLEs was the fact that the Logan Paul Mike Tyson fight was just so horribly produced.
No freaking kidding. But I guess we'll find out what the aftermath is in the not too distant future. We'll see. If they launch it with WrestleMania, I can't imagine it wouldn't be the biggest one because everyone wants to see it. And if they saw Punk in it in the main event, the actual main event, that would be the best move to sell this because I think people would pay $30 to see Punk win in the main event or even compete in it. I will say that I don't know if it'll be a continued subscription thereon and therefore. But before we wrap things up, speaking of aftermath, I got a bone to pick with the IWC out here. All right, maybe you can answer this question for me. Who the fuck is LA Knight? Who the hell is this guy that people keep talking about and hyping up like he's the next big thing? I've heard people compare his ass to The Rock. They say he's the next Rock of here. I'm like, do you guys not watch The Rock? Do you guys not watch this guy wrestle? nothing alike. They couldn't be more different.
So LA Knight has done a really good job on the microphone, and he got really hot for a very short period of time. But when push came to shove, they just ultimately didn't put the belt on him because in the ring he's just not there, right? He's not
Not
CM
there.
Punk.
Look at this.
Rollins
Yeah.
struggling
This
to
is
his feet.
him
Knight from
setting
behind.
up his finisher.
Rollins.
You see that bullshit right there?
Yeah.
Look at that. I hate kicks to the gut for moves that aren't bent at the waist. Stone Cold Stunner makes sense. Pedigree makes sense. Batista Bomb makes sense. His move is the goddamn skull cracking finale with two hands. Okay? You know you're a shit wrestler when you're stealing moves from the fucking Miz. Okay? Who is this guy? I don't know, okay? I care as much about LA Knight as I do LA traffic. It always shows up when I don't want it to be there, and people keep screaming about it, and it's not making it any better. Like, nothing he's done has convinced me that this is a main event draw or a top guy in the slightest. And in fact, he's definitely on the way down because he lost clean at Mania. He lost the U.S. title to Jacob Fatu. I'll give that guy credit. That's one of the best big men that move. That reminds me of Vader, who's surprisingly nimble. But when a face loses a mid card belt clean, they are not getting pushed up. They are going down the ladder. And the fact he was left off the SummerSlam card is proof of that.
Yeah, like I said, like LA Knight's an upper mid card guy. They can kind of put him in there. The fans kind of go with him, and he's a really good guy. He's like a Jake the Snake Roberts, get the heels
How dare you
boosted up.
compare him to Jacob
No, I mean
the
like
Snake?
no, I meant like he's that upper mid card baby face that can do jobs and stay over just enough to where he can boost up the heels. So like I said, he'll be doing jobs to Braun Breaker and
Yeah.
Bronson and all those other guys.
You know who else does that job but better? AJ Styles right now.
Oh, AJ's suffering, man.
I know. Why are they having that guy job? But maybe that's something we could talk about on next week's show, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of Wrestling is Now Shitty. We hope you enjoyed the show. Please feel free to like and subscribe. If you guys want to see more of this content, we'll be back next week. A lot of fun stuff to talk about. If you guys haven't heard, the Fox will be airing a special on Hulk Hogan this Tuesday, August 12th. So yeah, we're gonna watch that and maybe give it a quick review. I'm very curious because I have a number of guests on there who are slated to be on there. It'll be very interesting and polarizing, but we'll see it happen. So any final thoughts before we sign off, Midnyte?
No, just hope you guys enjoy the show. Keep watching the product because there's a lot of good and some bad mixed in there. So we'll see you guys next week and talk about what happened.
Please let us know in the comments who was right and why it was me. All right. We'll see you guys later. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace.